You are listening to the Critical Mass Radio Show, Orange County's business talk show, focused on exploring topics of interest to CEOs who are leading middle market companies. With your host, Richard Franzi.
And welcome to this edition of Critical Mass Radio Show and Podcast. I am your host, Richard Franzi, and this is podcast number 1058. You know, a good job is more than a paycheck. It is essential to creating a stable, safe, and educated community. And for many, it's a lifeline. Since 1993, Women Helping Women served over 80,000 job seekers find gainful employment. And that's why I've that's why I've invited the CEO, Janie Best, to come and share the services and how they tailor them for every individual and how that delivers an effective result. Janie, welcome back to Critical Mass Radio Show and Podcast.
Thanks, Richard. Glad to be here.
It's awesome to have you here. Why don't you, before we get into the mission of the organization and the organization beyond what I read in the open, tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of your path to where you are now.
Okay. So probably the best way to tell you how I ended up here is to tell you about my childhood. Dad was a Marine, stationed in Camp Pendleton when I was born. We moved around an awful lot when I was growing up. So I went to 27 schools in 12 years. Wow. Ended up somehow in the middle of New Mexico in my senior year and decided to stay there, put myself through school, went to business college, and my goal was to go and work for an oil company as an analyst. I realized about 3/4 of the way through my senior year that I was going to be bored out of my mind, not doing anything important that was going to make a difference. A friend of mine told me, you know, you should really look into nonprofit work, and I have a great nonprofit for you. And I said, well, what's that? And he said, it's the Boy Scouts of America. You'll love it. Mm-hmm. 6 months later, I was wearing a Boy Scout uniform and spent 15 years with the Boy Scouts. Mm-hmm. So I've been in nonprofit work for about 25 years now, mostly youth organizations, Boy Scouts, YMCA, Children's Bureau. And then was approached with this opportunity nearly 7 years ago.
How did you get to Orange County?
With the Boy Scouts.
Oh, so that was with the Boy Scouts.
So I spent 8 years in Ventura County with the Ventura County Council, and then accepted a job with more responsibility in Orange County, and was there for almost 8 years.
Okay.
Went to the YMCA in Huntington Beach. I was the executive director there for about 3 years. And then to Children's Bureau, which does prevention and treatment of child abuse.
Right.
I was doing development work with them. And then I was approached by an executive search firm and said, we have this great opportunity for you, and we really need someone just like you.
And this is Women Helping Women?
Mm-hmm. Okay. And at the time, I said, well, I don't really know anything about workforce development. And they said, it's okay. You've got really the great experience, great development. You have an opportunity to really build a big organization out of a very small one. And I was so intrigued when I went for my first visit. I said, wow, this is an amazing organization that has really tangible results. It really makes a life-changing difference for people. I said, this is something I can really get my hands around and be really excited about. And that was 7 years ago.
So did you appreciate at the time kind of what I read in the open, how important a good job is to a person?
No.
Okay.
No, I had no idea.
Right.
And, at the time, our organization was pretty small. Our main programs were professional apparel for men and women. So it was about getting a job, but it really has, our organization has dramatically changed since that time. And now I fully understand the difference that it makes for an entire community.
So can we talk about it now?
Sure,
okay,
sure.
So Women Helping Women, but that's not your only focus, right?
Correct.
I think of it, and I want to finish the sentence and say men to work.
Right.
Is that appropriate still?
No.
Okay.
Well, so I probably should tell you about how we were founded and kind of go from there.
Let's do that.
So back in 1993, we were founded by two women who were victims of domestic violence. They met in a shelter. They knew firsthand how difficult it was to go out and find a job, just to put together enough money to buy a professional outfit when they fled with the clothes on their back. So once they got back on their feet, they said, we're going to start collecting gently used women's professional clothing. They were throwing it in the trunk of the car and driving from shelter to shelter trying to find women who needed help. So it was very grassroots.
Right.
That first year we served 67 women. This last year we served 8,700 men, women, and teens with our employment supportive services.
8,700 in a year.
And we'll be over 10,000 this year.
Goodness.
So when the economic downturn happened in 2009,
Right.
we were still doing professional clothing solely for women who were victims of domestic violence. Our nonprofit partners were domestic violence shelters. And then we started having conversations with men in the community saying, you know, I really need help too. And so we started serving men with professional clothing. But then people were saying, you know, I really need more than just an outfit to be marketable when there are thousands and thousands of applicants for every position. So we started doing some one-on-one job development work, creating resumes for our clients and doing a little bit of counseling. But there was so much demand for our services that we couldn't keep up. So in that first year or so, about through the middle of 2010, we were doing a lot of one-on-one work with a couple of hundred clients a year. And we said, okay, how can we really make an impact on our clients? And we looked at providing employment readiness workshops for our clients.
Okay.
And so we started doing basic job seeking skills, bringing in professional volunteers. These are people who are senior vice presidents for local companies, retired executives for local companies like Allergan, Quicksilver. So they're very high-level people that are bringing their expertise to our clients. From that one class, now we offer about 60 different workshops on a monthly basis. Basic job seeking skills, resume development, mastering the interview, confidence building, overcoming obstacles, 30 different computer classes.
And tell me again, who you targeting this at?
So it's very different today than back in the old days when it was only women victims of domestic violence. Today, the people that we're serving are literally your next door neighbor and your brother, because our mission is to provide the unemployed and the underemployed with the skills and resources they need to get and keep a good job.
Okay.
And so, you know, back in 2009, people had to be certified low income in order to receive our services. But I'm not sure if you're really familiar with how social services work, to get certified as low income with one of our nonprofit partners was a 9 to 12 month process. So imagine, for most of Orange County, if you lost your job today and you couldn't get help until 9 to 12 months went by,
you'd be
how
bankrupt.
could you keep a roof over your head or food on the table for your children?
You wouldn't.
Even today, the answer is you can't.
Right.
And so what we decided to do was to start providing our services to everyone who needs it immediately, regardless of whether they have a job or not. So if they're looking for a better job, if they're about to get downsized. And we were able to make a huge difference really fast. So we also found out during our strategic planning process, we did an environmental scan and really dug into our data, and we found that if someone comes to our programs 3.4 times, they are 90% more likely to get a job.
Wow.
And so
any one of the programs, if they come through a series of them, they're
right.
Wow.
And so we redesigned how we deliver our programs to make sure that everybody gets an overview of what we do. And in 1 year went from 1.7 times to 4 times. And in 1 year we went from 46% placement to 70% placement. And this year it's 83% of our clients have a job within 3 months.
Do you have, that's awesome. Do you have relationships with employers in the county where they know what you're doing and they're looking to your people as potential adds to their workforce?
We do. We have about 200 employer partners that we work with that provide us with job leads that aren't available anywhere else. We have employers that do hiring events on site, so they will provide us with the job openings that they have and the kind of people that they're looking for. We'll go through and pre-screen some of our clients and invite them to come to an on-site fair. Employers will come to our location, meet one-on-one with clients and do interviews, and many times do hiring right on the spot.
Do these have to be the larger companies? When you say 200, I'm thinking that can't be all the big companies.
No,
it's
companies,
across the.
It's three-man shops.
Okay.
And Fortune 500 companies.
Okay.
So it's a little bit of everything.
So if there's a business owner in Orange County, Southern California, that's running a $5 or $10 million company and is having trouble finding employees,
they can absolutely
working
come
with
to
you
us.
might be a solution.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. And we're going to get to how you get in touch with Janie and her organization a little bit later. We have about 3 minutes until the break.
Okay.
But I'm wondering if you could share with our audience kind of your philosophy, your guiding principle that you're using to lead and grow the organization.
So I had a very different answer last time I was here. But this time I'll tell you, a wise man told me a long time ago, he's one of my first staff leaders at the Boy Scouts. He said, Janie, the one thing you need to know is that it's better to beg for forgiveness than to ask for permission. And I have tried to instill that in my staff so that they have the flexibility to always do the right thing, even if it's against the rules.
Okay.
If they can break the rules if it's the right thing to do. And what we've created is this wonderful team of people that are completely empowered to do the right thing for our job seekers. And I've learned that they are the experts. Even the most basic entry-level people, they're doing the job every day. They're
Right.
hearing from our clients. They know what's best for our clients. So I try to always give them the flexibility and the option to do the right thing
Wow.
and to change and to do new things. And it's hard for people to become comfortable with that. But once they do,
Right.
the sky's the limit in terms of what we can accomplish.
I think the proof is in the culture, how you respond as an organization to those times when they make the decision and it turns out to be maybe not didn't get the
Absolutely.
results it had anticipated.
Absolutely.
Right?
We've
Yeah.
had some spectacular failures, but from those great ideas that came out of having permission to do the
Right.
right thing and not to have to ask first, we've had some spectacular successes. We've grown by 700% in the last 6 years.
Jeez. How many people do you have now?
Well, staff, I only have 12.
Right. You got to keep that.
But I have about 2,500 volunteers who give us
Jeez.
about 25,000 hours of volunteer service.
Look at you.
each
You got all
year.
these. She's got all these facts just at the top of her head, just at her command. All right. Well, my engineer's telling me I got to take a break here, ladies and gentlemen. And for you loyal listeners to Critical Mass Radio Show and Podcast, you know that this is like a super short break. And when we come back, let's see, where am I? I want to ask you, why is it important not to only offer solutions for job seekers, but also walk them through the journey? So
Sure.
we're going to do that when we come back with Janie Willick. Janie Best, CEO of Women Helping Women, after this short word from me.
Richard Franzi is the author of 2 popular business books for CEOs. His first book, Critical Mass, The 10 Explosive Powers of CEO Peer Groups, was the first book ever written on the secret value of CEO peer groups. His second book, now with newly updated information, is Critical Mass, The Power of CEO Guiding Principles. Richard's books contain powerful information to help CEOs running middle market companies gain valuable insight to improve their decision-making skills. Richard's books are available as paperbacks or Kindle versions from Amazon.com. To find them, type Richard Franzi in the search box.
And welcome back to this edition of Critical Mass Radio Show and Podcast. I am your host, Richard Franzi. All of our shows can be heard anytime on iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, several hundred former guests' websites whose CEOs have been on our show, and now it's on their website somewhere. You know, since we started doing the show in 2009, we've reached hundreds of thousands of listeners with our live stream here on octalkradio.net, our podcast, the live video that you might be watching on Facebook, which will go up on YouTube. Simply type in Critical Mass Radio Show into your favorite podcasting software, and you'll get our wonderful weekly shows with outstanding guests like Janie Best, who is the CEO of Women Helping Women. Before the break, I said, can you share a holistic approach to helping a job seeker land a position and move in a career direction? Why is that important?
Sure, because every job seeker has different needs. I said before that the people that we're serving are your next door neighbor and your brother. We have some people who have never had a job before. We have people that are our age that have been downsized, and that's a huge hit to your confidence. And everyone's needs are different. And
Sometimes
so,
I find those people are the least prepared to find a new job. They've worked for a company and they don't have a
Right.
network, and
right.
they're lost.
Right, and they're the people who have really the biggest barriers because they have a lot of preconceived notions about what employers are looking for. They're typically very convinced that no one will want to hire them because they'll want to hire a 25-year-old instead, and that's absolutely not the case. Our job seekers, our employer partners will say 9 times out of 10 that they would much rather have an experienced person, regardless of age, that has the best experience for the position. And so what we found is that We have a unique approach in that we don't require people to go through a set series of programming.
Okay.
So the only thing we require them to do is to go through our new client orientation, our Welcome to WHW.
Yeah, that's how
So
you
we give
onboard them.
That's right. So we give them an overview of all the programs that we offer, and we're able to do a little bit of one-on-one assessment to recommend to them which classes they should participate in. And this helps. Each person can pick and choose and then become more comfortable. It's a very loving, caring environment, but with some tough love at the same time.
Okay.
So if someone wants a job, we are absolutely going to help them. I think one of the programs that makes the most sense these days, especially for the job seeker that we just discussed, is our Friday class series called Pathways to Employment. So we have confidence building, overcoming obstacles, strengths finders assessments. We teach people to play to their strengths rather than focusing on their weaknesses, how to network, networking in action, and employer networking events. So really those are designed to help you get your mojo back when you've lost your confidence because you've lost your job, or if you've been out of the workforce for a number of years, or if you've never had a job before. Networking is still incredibly important. 97% of the jobs that are being found now are due to networking. It's not because you answered an ad in Indeed or on Monster.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Okay. This Friday schedule, it sounds like this is probably something that's evolved based on the needs and sort of the people that the volunteers who said, hey, I can do this. I could do Strength Finders training for you, kind of a thing as well. Is that right?
Sometimes it's because a volunteer instructor has come to us and said, I'd really like to offer this class. But most of them are because we have found trends in our job seekers of things that they're lacking, that they need to improve upon.
Oh, okay.
And so, as an example, we've offered mock interviews for a number of years. Now our class is called Mastering the Interview, and it consists of, interview best practices. There's a whole session on phone interviews, and now we do Skype interviews as well, because that's really changed. And most jobs now will do several phone interviews and a Skype interview rather than coming in person, just because it's more efficient for the employer.
Right.
So it's a combination of things that our job seekers have asked for, trends in the workplace that we've noticed by interacting with our employer partners, and topics that come to us from our expert volunteers.
Now, are these offered free, or is there a fee? I mean, how do you do that?
No, it's absolutely free.
So everything, regardless of the person's background, is offered as a service to them.
Absolutely. Everything is 100% free. When I first started out with WHW, we were 100% government funded. Today, we are 100% privately funded. We do have a program where our job seekers are able to pay it forward by supporting the organization. It's zero pressure. We have some signs up in the building that say, our programs were offered to you at no charge because we have these people who invest in us. So if you would like to at some point in the future, we'd love to have that. And so we've started to have more and more clients that a couple of years down the road are supporting us.
I would think.
But we feel it's really, really important to offer everything for free, because our founder said that they never wanted anyone to be in a situation where they had to choose between looking good for an interview and feeding their children. And so we want 100% of the job seekers' time and focus to be spent on looking for a job. We don't make them volunteer or have them pay. It's all offered at no cost.
So let's talk about your April 7th fashion show. I've been a guest at and attended. So tell me a little bit more about it for the audience that may not be aware of it, and then we'll tell them how to find out more about it by your website, etc.
Sure. So our annual luncheon and fashion show is our largest annual fundraiser. This is also our 25th anniversary as an organization. So it's the theme is 25 iconic years, old Hollywood kind of theme. And as you remember, everyone dresses in theme for our event.
Yes.
It's a fun silent auction, luncheon, live auction. We expect to raise over $200,000 to support our programs that morning. It's a wonderful, fun event. It's not your standard chicken dinner.
Right. It is fun.
Yes.
I mean, there's a lot of energy in the room, and to raise $200,000, that's a huge commitment from from the community in supporting of WHW, huh?
Right.
All
About
right.
half of it comes through sponsorship opportunities, through individuals and corporations and some local foundations.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest is raised on the spot that day by asking people to join Club 259, which is our
Right.
private donor circle.
that.
It costs $259 to provide all of our programs to a client. So people have the opportunity to sponsor one client or 10 clients, and lots of generous people raise their paddles to support clients that way.
That seems like that number's been consistent.
It
Janie.
has. And actually, we founded Club 259 in 2008. Over the years, as we added on more programs, it became more expensive. But about 2.5 years ago, we went through every level of the organization to identify the most efficient ways to offer the deepest level of programming for our clients. Now costs just under $260. There's some change there.
But we're rounding it down.
$259.87 to provide our programs to a client. But when you think about an investment of $259
Really?
for a lifetime of economic self-sufficiency,
Right.
it's
critical.
Yeah.
It's awesome how you've been able to expand your offering and expand the people community from which you
Right.
offer to. Okay, so I'm getting you're out of time sign from my engineer, so I have to ask you, how does someone learn more about your organization if they want to get involved, or maybe they want to come to the April 7th event?
They can go to our website, which is whw.org. Follow us on social media. Facebook is Empowering Employment Success. Twitter is WHWM2W. But please be sure to go to our website to learn all about all the great things that are happening in our 25th anniversary, including our facility move to Irvine in January.
Oh, wow. That's next month.
Yes.
Are you excited?
Yes.
That's a big deal, though, moving, huh?
Very excited. We've got double the square footage. We're going to be able to offer a program to more clients, and especially those in South Orange County who really need our help.
Okay.
And will be more accessible for those in North Orange County. So we're super excited.
I'm so glad you came back on. Give us an update on where your organization is. You're to be commended for the work that you've done and the difference you're making in so many people's lives here in Orange County. Thanks for being a friend of the show and a part of the critical mass community, Janie. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and
Merry Christmas to you, Richard.
finish it
Thank
strong.
You.
All right.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank, who should I thank? Oh, yes, Paul Roberts, the engineer for today's show. Yay for Paul, as well as our producers, Joan Park, Crystal Nunley, and Haley Stern. If you'd like to connect with me on Twitter, my handle is CEO Peer Groups. On LinkedIn, I'm Richard Franzi, Franzi, and our website is criticalmass4forbusiness.com. Until our next show, I hope all of your business decisions will move your company in a positive organization.
You have been listening to Critical Mass Radio Show Business Talk Show, focused on exploring topics of interest to CEOs who are leading middle market companies. With your host, Richard Franzi.
Support for this